So, my dad, his name is Eric, and he died in February. And this is what I wrote and read at his funeral. My dad never struck me as the sort of person who would die. Someone so filled with pure joy for life. Memories from a child's perspective. When I was little, my daddy was my mountain. Big feet, base camp. That place where my tiny feet stood on big shiny shoes as my hands were held tight and I was whirled around dancing to the coolest West Coast cool jazz. The climb continued, ascending the shins. Camp 1, knees and thighs. The place where I became the ill-fated Mary Rose, a giggling wreck that gleefully sailed the seas before being plunged to the depths, only to be resurrected for another plunge, and another, and another. Also on Camp 1 was one knee for a favourite son and one knee for a favourite daughter. Because as soon as Dad came home from work, we scrambled to get a seat and sibling rivalry would ensue. Camp 2, chest and armpits, the place of relentless tickles beyond the point of tiny person and adult tolerance alike, and where tiny ears rested against warm skin to hear that strong, kind heart as it beat its rhythm. Camp 3, the summit, white hair, his soft blue eyes with their mischievous twinkle, his huge smile, with big white teeth hanging onto his pipe as smoke swirled skyward, and laughter, so much laughter, as tiny me clambered all over Dad Mountain, making us both giggle. All this excited explorer exertion would be topped off with the biggest bear hugs a girl could stand, the best kind of tight, safe squeezes so filled with love. Man Mountain Dad would be forced every bedtime to ferry both his children upstairs to bed, and oh how we would ride those steep stairs, and Dad, like an overworked donkey. Dad obliged every time, of course, even though he must have felt pain in his hips, a pain he attributed to a yoga injury way back when. Dearest Daddy, my long-legged and cuddly climbing frame, when we lived in Bushby, and Leicester people know Bushby, on way back when our legs were too short to touch the pedals, Dad would let us drive his car. Perched on his lap, a good view of the lane ahead, would engage the gears, tiny hands tightly holding the steering wheel as we drove slowly along the stony drive, tyres crackling, engine revving, stop. At the tender age of 3, this caused more excitement than it's possible to contain. Bedtime stories. These were most often made up, but would contain nuggets of truth interwoven with hilarious fantasy. It was always impossible to go to sleep when I was collapsing about in my bed in fits of giggles. Tales of my mum hitchhiking in the moors and meeting the long, slender, ghostly fingers and the big, red, juicy lip of a spectre in a haunted mansion. There were stories that started with, the little girl thought it was her daddy putting her to bed. But in fact, her daddy had been eaten by a giant blancmange from the Andromeda galaxy, which had assumed his form only to devour the little girl. Cue a giant raspberry from Dad, and squeals of excitement from me. This story, I later realised, was courtesy of Monty Python and Angus Pugorney winning Wimbledon. There were also stories of the phantom raspberry blower of Clarendon Park. Beware. To this day, I don't know who the phantom raspberry blower was. I just knew he would get me if I didn't go to sleep. The long, hot summers of my childhood were filled with immense adventures where we would be driven by Dad from Leicester through France and Germany to Austria. Long, hot car journeys in his pale blue Austin Montego, with lots of music and plumes of thick grey gold block smoke trailing out the driver's side window. Stops in tiny villages along the way for baguettes de fromage and Fanta Limon, the stuff of pure joy for a child because you couldn't get lemon Fanta in England. Rest stops by beautiful rippling streams to cool off, just in our pants, splashing about before we continued our drive to the gas top post. We'd spend these holidays basking on the shores of the lake, cooling off with a swim, and sometimes sailing around the Milchstättersee on a motorboat that I was occasionally allowed to pilot. These recollections of a delighted daddy, a father who loved both his children and showed the world as he knew it, this is the stuff that we know fairy tales are made of. As I grew older, the hilarious stories, silliness, tickling, jokes, big hugs, and general hilarity continued. Dad was a friend to me and a friend to my friends. We shared so many good times, nights out, meals, movies, music, holidays, and many long, late nights with my dad, Eric. Bon vivant par excellence. So many happy memories with Dad at his home, the warmth of his welcome and the warmth of his house with its worn, wine-stained red carpets, the clicking sound of the gas fire turned up full, the newspapers piled high by his chair, the jazz playing loudly in the back room with Dad telling us all to be quiet and listening to Dave Brubeck, because it's beautiful. When listening to Dave Brubeck, Dad would also make sure that we knew the names of the musicians in each piece. The many Christmas dinners carefully planned and with wine for each course, and the hard-to-time white turkey, which at one time succumbed to a table malfunction. So much fun and so many wonderful times I wish I could share with everybody. In the late 90s, during a meal at a local restaurant and after much wine, Dad and I called Melba Sweets, the mother of his first wife. Dad insisted I make the call, and so I rang the USA, and Melba's assistant picked up. Melba's assistant passed the phone on to Melba, telling her who it was. Melba came on the line and exclaimed, "Oh my God, when I heard who it was, I just dropped my shopping and ran to the phone." Words that my dad would have me repeat because he thought my accent was spot on. I repeated these words many, many times. This call then led us to flying across the pond to the USA, but not before we had inquired about getting there by boat, the way Dad used to travel to the States. This trip was combined with a keynote lecture in Birmingham, Alabama, where once more it was requested by Dad that I regale taxi drivers, waiters, and many others with my accents because my dad wanted people to hear my repertoire. Later still were the calls made to Dad from the university where we'd often go over the Guardian crossword together, or I would ask Dad for his opinion of my work. Dad would also call me to help him to figure out how to use his DVD player and TV, with Dad praising my technological brilliance when I helped him decipher his hard to work remote control. Whatever the call was about, or whenever the call was, Dad would always answer, and Dad was always there. There would be humour, jokes, support, and unending love, help with resolving issues, and just my dad Eric, the kindest, most gentle father on the other end of the line.